On a quiet Sunday morning, the soft glow of sunlight spilled through the windows as Linda Williams sat in her home office, flipping through work documents. The peaceful hum of her weekend routine at Boston Consulting Group brought a sense of calm to her day. The rich aroma of Dunkin coffee drifted up from her desk, blending with the sound of birds chirping outside. While organizing the piles of papers in front of her, Linda's gaze drifted to the window. The rose bush she had bought from Whole Foods just the day before sparkled with morning dew. She had finally managed to put some effort into her garden last weekend, and now, her yard was beginning to look as beautiful as the house she had purchased with her parents' help. The day was still young, with some time to spare before church service at Trinity in Copley Square, but her peaceful moment was interrupted by the sharp ring of her phone. "Linda, can you come over today?" It was her sister Patricia. Linda sighed quietly at her sister's usual bossy tone. "I'm hosting the family for brunch," Patricia continued. "Mom's coming, too. I've ordered catering from Legal Seafoods." An hour later, Linda arrived at Patricia's grand colonial-style mansion in Brookline. The house, located in the quietest corner of the neighborhood, still had the same imposing presence it always did. A shiny new Range Rover sat proudly in the driveway, the ultimate symbol of Patricia and her husband Michael's success. "Welcome, Linda," greeted their mother, Carol, her Tiffany silver necklace glinting as she spoke. "Patricia has prepared such a lovely brunch. She's really living well now that she's married into this family." Linda's smile was tight as the twins, Emma and Olivia, rushed up to greet her. "Auntie Lynn," they shouted in unison. As Linda bent down to hug them, she felt a familiar sense of discomfort. The unease she felt whenever visiting Patricia's house had only grown stronger over the years. Inside, the living room was as pristine and modern as ever, designed by a professional decorator. The marble dining table was piled high with lobster croissant sandwiches and truffle-flavored eggs Benedict. "I'm the star today," Patricia entered with a flourish, wearing a new Louis Vuitton dress and striking a pose for the camera. Her husband Michael was, as usual, absorbed in his iPad, completely uninterested in anything around him. "We've got wonderful news," Patricia said, holding up a glass of mimosa. "We're taking a family trip to Hawaii next month. Michael's company is doing great. Now's the perfect time." Linda raised an eyebrow in surprise. "What?" she asked, taken aback. Patricia grinned mischievously. "You're not planning to stay single and career-focused forever, are you? You need to spend time with your family once in a while. You looked pretty exhausted when I saw you the other day at Copley Place." "Patricia," Carol chimed in with a feigned scold, though her eyes were already scanning the brunch spread for the perfect Instagram shot. The twins jumped in. "Auntie Lynn, come to Hawaii with us. We're staying at the Disney Hotel in Oahu." Linda hesitated for a moment, but then, deciding it might be a nice break, she smiled and agreed. "Sure, I haven't been to Hawaii in a while." As the twins' iPads played videos of Hawaiian resorts, Linda glanced at the clock. It was almost time to go. The morning of departure, Linda woke up earlier than usual. The clock read 7 a.m. She double-checked her suitcase, making sure to pack sunscreen and her new swimsuit. As she confirmed her flight details on the American Airlines app, she mentally went over everything she needed to do for the trip. While munching on a bagel, she remembered Patricia's casual text from the night before, confirming their flight details and simply adding, "Tomorrow will be a wonderful memory." Trying to feel excited, Linda reminded herself that it was supposed to be a fun family vacation, though a small nagging feeling wouldn't leave her mind. After loading up her Toyota RAV4, she drove through the quiet streets of Boston. The city seemed emptier than usual on a Saturday morning, the traffic light and the air warm with humidity. She turned on the radio, which was reporting Hawaii's sunny forecast, and couldn't help but notice how the weather in Boston tried to match. At Logan Airport, Linda felt the usual buzz of activity around her. She pushed her new carry-on suitcase toward the check-in counter, where the agent greeted her. "Good morning, the 9:45 flight to Honolulu. Your name, please?" "Linda Williams," she said, handing over her platinum card. The agent's fingers paused over the keyboard for a moment, her expression flickering slightly. "I'm sorry, Miss Williams, your reservation was cancelled last night." "What? That can't be right. I have the confirmation email." Linda fumbled with her phone, showing the confirmation email to the agent. "The Brown party completed their check-in about 30 minutes ago." Linda's heart sank. She frantically called Patricia. No answer. She tried Michael's number, but it went straight to voicemail. Suddenly, A new message popped up on her phone. It was from Patricia. "Take care of the children. We need some time." The message came with a photo: Emma and Olivia sitting on a bench near Starbucks in the airport, looking confused and anxious. Olivia's face was streaked with tears. Linda's stomach dropped. She ran through the airport, her heart racing. Why would Patricia do this? What was going on? "Excuse me, I'm looking for 5-year-old twin girls, blonde, wearing Gap Kids dresses," Linda asked the staff, her voice shaky. More messages from Patricia arrived. "The children are in your care. The 529 plan documents are in the safe at home. This is our last chance, Michael and I." Linda's mind was reeling. She finally found the twins in the food court, sitting on a bench, clutching each other. "It's okay," she whispered, pulling them into her arms. "I'll protect you." The twins trembled in her embrace, their tiny bodies shaking with fear. Around them, airport staff began to gather. "They said they were going to take the shuttle bus," Olivia whimpered, her voice full of confusion. "Then Mama and Papa never came back." Linda's heart clenched. The twins were scared, alone, and now she was the one responsible for them. The situation quickly escalated. Airport police and Children's Protective Services arrived, and Linda was left in disbelief at how her family had betrayed her and their children. 12 hours later, Linda sat on her couch, staring at the empty space around her. The twins were still too shaken to move from the sofa, where they had clung to each other all day. Scattered crayons and a half-eaten Happy Meal lay forgotten on the coffee table. "Auntie Lynn," Emma whispered, "are Mama and Papa really not coming back?" Linda felt her heart break. The police had confirmed that Patricia and Michael had boarded their flight as scheduled and checked into the Hilton in Honolulu. They were living their vacation while their children were left behind in confusion and fear. "I can't believe it," Linda's mother, Carol, had arrived in a flurry of worry, her usually perfect hair out of place. "That Patricia would do something like this," she muttered, still in shock. Just then, Linda's phone rang. It was a detective from the Boston police. "Miss Williams, have you overheard anything concerning from the children?" Linda recalled what the twins had said at the airport. Emma and Olivia had mentioned their parents fighting about money. The next morning, after dropping the twins off at school, Linda went to Patricia's house with the police. They had obtained a search warrant, and Linda was allowed to accompany them. Inside, the house looked exactly as it always had: expensive, pristine, a symbol of Patricia's success. In the second-floor study, the police began going through drawers filled with financial documents. Linda's eyes widened as they revealed the truth. The rumors about Michael's company were true. It was failing, and the 529 plan for the twins' education had been drained. More than $500,000 had been taken out in the past 3 months. The closet was filled with boxes of designer clothes, all with the tags still attached. Patricia's Instagram showed a picture-perfect life, but behind the facade, she had been stealing from her children's future. Then, the police found something else: bank statements from the Cayman Islands. Linda's blood ran cold when she saw her mother's name on the documents. Her phone buzzed again. It was from Trinity Church. "Linda, something terrible has happened." Her mother's voice trembled with fear. Patricia had stolen from the women's group funds and used her name to cover it up. Linda's world spun out of control as she realized that Patricia had been using everyone: the twins, her mother, and even her. This was no longer just a family betrayal, it was something far more dangerous. The situation had taken a darker turn. Linda had just learned that her sister, Patricia, had been using their mother's name to embezzle membership fees from the church. This was no small mistake, it was a premeditated crime, and Linda made sure to tell the police everything she knew. By the time the evening came, Linda sat alone in her living room. She carefully reviewed all the evidence she had gathered. Her mother, Carol, was still being questioned at the church, and the twins were safely at their after-school program. Then, the phone rang again. It was a call from the Boston Police Department. "We've found something big." The detective's voice was tense. "It seems they had no intention of coming back." Linda's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" "We've found one-way tickets to the Caribbean." Linda felt a chill run down her spine. She had to act quickly. That night, she spread out all the evidence across her dining table: police reports, FBI filings, Child Protective Services records, and even information from Sarah Cohen, a top child abandonment attorney in the country. The twins' voices interrupted her thoughts. "Auntie Lynn, can we go to school tomorrow?" Olivia called from upstairs. Linda smiled, trying to mask the growing tension inside her. Of course, life will go on like normal, I promise. As she sent the final reports to the police, she felt her resolve solidifying. She was ready to fight for the twins and to make sure justice was served. The detective's last words on the phone only strengthened her determination. Today, the FBI is joining the investigation as a serious child abandonment case. A week later, at the top of the Hilton Hawaiian Village in Oahu, Patricia sipped her morning coffee while gazing out over the beautiful sea. She was scrolling through Instagram, planning her next post, as if her life was untouched by the chaos she had left behind. But then, Michael approached her, his face tense, holding his iPad. "We need to talk about the company." Before she could reply, a loud knock echoed through the suite. The door opened, and over 10 law enforcement officers stood outside. An FBI agent began reading Patricia and Michael their rights. Outside the window, a helicopter hovered. "I have nothing to say, let me call my lawyer," Patricia said, trying to maintain her calm, but the tickets to the Cayman Islands in her Louis Vuitton bag told a different story. "This is a federal crime," the agent said coldly. "You're being charged with child abandonment, embezzlement, and money laundering." 2 weeks later, Linda sat in a meeting with prosecutors at the Boston, U.S. Attorney's Office. "Miss Williams, we have enough evidence," said Jessica Morris, a seasoned prosecutor. "The misappropriation of education funds will surely turn the jury against them." The table before Linda was piled high with evidence: footage from Logan Airport, accounting records from the church women's group, financial documents showing fraudulent accounting at Michael's company, and Patricia's social media posts that painted a perfect life. There were also reports from the twins' counselor, and evidence of stolen funds from their education savings plan. "The prosecution will charge them with federal child abandonment violations," Jessica continued. "Additionally, there will be fraud charges for misusing education funds, embezzlement, document forgery, money laundering, and conspiracy charges." "How long will they be sentenced for?" Linda asked quietly. "For Patricia, it will be up to 20 years, Jessica replied. "Michael could face 7 to 15 years, depending on his cooperation." That evening, Linda took the twins to a counseling session at Boston Children's Hospital. "The children's recovery will take time, Dar," Sarah Watson explained, "especially after being abandoned by a mother." 1 month later, at the Suffolk County Courthouse, Patricia and Michael's initial hearing began. The courtroom was packed with reporters, and the Boston Globe even featured the case on its front page. As the judge called the defendants to stand, Patricia, now in an orange prison jumpsuit, had lost all of her former arrogance. Her makeup-free face showed signs of fatigue, and she looked nothing like the glamorous woman she once was. Patricia, her voice trembled as she began to confess, "At first, when I learned about Michael's company. But that's no excuse. I abandoned my children." Her testimony lasted for hours as she admitted everything, from misappropriating the twins' education funds to embezzling church money, to forging their mother's signature for loans, and finally, planning a getaway to the Caribbean. At the heart of it all, she admitted, was her jealousy of Linda's stable life. When Michael took the stand, he, too, confessed. His company had been nearly bankrupt for 2 years, but he had been too afraid to tell Patricia. He said, "But I couldn't tell her, her lifestyle." The final witness was their mother, Carol. "I trusted Patricia too much," she said, her voice filled with regret. "I betrayed the church, hurt Linda, and most of all, my grandchildren." The day of sentencing came with heavy silence in the courtroom. "Patricia Brown," the judge's voice was firm, "your actions were the worst betrayal. You abandoned your children, deceived your family, and misused the trust of your community." After the sentencing, Linda stepped outside the courthouse for a brief press conference. "This isn't something to be proud of," she said softly, "but justice has been served. Most importantly, my children's future is protected." Later that evening, Linda took the twins for a walk through Boston Common. As the cool evening air settled around them, Emma asked, "Auntie Lynn, we'll always be together, right?" Linda squeezed their hands and smiled. "Yes, of course, we're a new family now, and we'll stay together forever." 2 weeks later, in a prison visiting room, Linda stood across from her sister, Patricia, now in an orange prison uniform. The once glamorous woman sat behind reinforced glass, her hair thin and damaged, her skin pale. "Linda," Patricia's voice was hoarse, "I did something unforgivable. I know, Linda said quietly. It was the first time they had truly confronted the distance between them. How are the children? Patricia asked, tears welling up in her eyes. They don't want to see you. The conversation was brief, only 15 minutes, but it was enough for Linda to understand that this might be their last meeting. As Linda walked home, she passed through Boston Common, where autumn was beginning to make its presence known. At home, life was changing. The former guest room had been transformed into a bright, cheerful children's bedroom for Emma and Olivia. Linda had worked hard to create a home for them, one filled with love and warmth. The children were adjusting well, and Linda's work life had also changed. Her company, Boston Consulting Group, had been supportive, allowing her more flexibility to care for the twins. New support systems had also emerged, neighbors offering help, the church bringing over meals, and the school counselor working closely with the twins on their emotional healing. 1 year later, Linda celebrated the twins' 6th birthday in her backyard, surrounded by friends and family. The children laughed and played, their former anxious expressions now replaced by smiles of joy. As she watched them, Linda felt a sense of peace. It had been a long road, but they had made it. Later that evening, as she tucked the children into bed, Linda stepped outside into the garden. Under the starlit sky, she smiled softly. Everything had changed, but it was for the better, and in that moment, she felt ready to face whatever came next. Through the trials, the heartbreak, and the betrayals, Linda had built a new family, a family grounded in love and healing, and together, they would continue forward, one step at a time.